Hey everyone, so this is another video, I think my third video so far. Forgive the video of my super duper cool green dragon that my wife made for me. At some point I plan to show my faces and finally introduce myself in a more personal manner in these videos. But that day is not yet. My job, where I work and what I do, the folks that I work with and for right now, they really don't need to know that I have a YouTube channel, and they really don't need to know sort of the things I talk about on this channel. So I'm trying to keep them as much as I can anyway, private. Once I know a little bit more about my financial future and I'm able to reach my goals of becoming independently wealthy, longer term goal, and more medium term goal, self-employed, then I will start showing my face on YouTube. But until then, um, there's the dragon. He's kind of cool. So anyway, today's video is about it's about career burnout, job burnout, whatever you want to call it, and it's about being stuck. And I just, my voice, I'm just putting my voice out there in this video today to remind folks, especially men, women as well, but this is coming from a man's perspective, um, especially folks that are in their mid 40s, 50, early 50s, like I am, that really are just done with their career. They've had it with the corporate world. We've talked about desk jobs, white collar work largely going away within the coming years due to AI and automation, and just less of a need in the corporate world for white collar workers. At least that's my view. I think that we're starting to see that, and I think we're going to see more of it. But so what do you do? Well, first of all, let me back up for a second. This video is kind of just to remind folks that are in the same or similar position that I am. You kind of have to have that white collar job right now to pay the bills, to feed your family. You don't have enough money saved up to retire just yet, and you need to keep that paycheck coming in while you're trying to build up other things on the side, while you're trying to build up some liquid savings on the side, so that you can make the leap to self-employed, to doing something that you want to be doing more than your desk job. There are, I think, a lot of people in this same situation, and I've thought about this a good bit because it's not the kind of thing that you're going to talk about with your coworkers, but I can promise you, you're not alone if you're in that situation. If for no other reason, then there's one other person in the world out there who's in the same situation, and that's myself. So, um, again, just a reminder that it's okay to kind of feel stuck and trapped sometimes, and you may even be in a situation like I am, where on most days you feel trapped and you can only do one little thing. Maybe there's only enough time or energy left at the end of most days to do one little thing, to put another couple more dollars back in your savings account, to pay off a little bit more debt that day, to advance your YouTube channel a little bit more that day by making a video, whatever your efforts are. But those efforts matter, and you're not alone in being stuck and feeling stuck. And sometimes it's okay to recognize that, you're having to power through this part of your life. It's almost like you're on autopilot. I know for me, I am anyway. If you get to the point, and I'm coming from the standpoint of a software developer, but you get to a certain point where you have built up enough skills to where you have muscle memory, kind of like your job inside and out. Some days you just have to go power through it, and you just have to use your muscle memory and your years of experience to get through the day. And sometimes it's okay to just take a day, take a sick day, take a vacation day if you're fortunate enough to have vacation days, and just give yourself a day off. Just because it's a grind, right? It's such a grind. And when you're talking about white collar work, and you're talking about being an office worker, it's such a grind too, because these companies that you work for, these corporations, largely, no, I know there are exceptions, but for the most part, they really don't care about us as people. And it's a grind because, especially in the job market we're in, like, it is so hard to find a job right now that you kind of feel lucky if you have one and you have that paycheck coming in until you can build your next thing on the side. But my point behind that is that it's a grind because you have to adhere to their schedule. Yeah, if you're hybrid worker, for example, you've got to come into the office 3 days a week. You can work from home 2 days a week. Well, yay, that's great that you can work from home 2 days a week. But largely for most of these hybrid positions, there's really not that much point in being in the office the other, 3 days a week that you do have to be there. But you still got to do it. So you got to deal with the commute, which is, let's be honest, mid 40s, 50, early 50s, pushing 60. At that age, it's exhausting for most of us. At least I know it is for me. It's absolutely draining to have to deal with that. Just know that you're not alone in the fact that you're doing this white collar grind. You're not alone if you feel trapped, and you're not alone if your efforts of like getting out of that situation feel futile sometimes because of the cost of everything. Maybe if you're like me, you're the only person in your family who makes a paycheck. Maybe you have a situation where you still have kids in the house, you have a stay-at-home mom. The financial struggles, even if you're making a good salary, if you're a single provider, the single breadwinner for the family, the financial struggles can be real. And I think y'all know that, or some of y'all know that are watching this video or listening to it and watching my dragon, I should say. But yeah, it's just a reminder that A, yes, it's a grind. B, you're probably burned out. You may be just entirely sick of your career. And C, like, that's okay. Just keep pushing a little bit every day when you can to build something better on the side so that you can eventually replace your income. And of course, eventually the idea hopefully is to retire at some point, unless you love what you do on the side so much you're making a new venture that you could see yourself doing until the day you drop dead at hopefully a very old age because you love what you do so much. I think that's a totally viable option for a lot of people, and that's fine too if that's what you want to do. So keep making progress, keep pushing your agenda a little bit every day, and just remember, no matter how exhausted or drained you are at the end of the day, it's okay some days to not push on your agenda. If you need to take a day off entirely, not do any little extra step to get towards working for yourself, to push towards that goal, some days you got to do it. I'm not going to be able to make a YouTube video every day. I'm going to do what I can to make a YouTube video every day. I'm going to do what I can to publish new content every day. I'm going to do what I can to make a DoorDash run on most days. I'm going to do what I can to see if I can list that next used pair of shoes or the next jacket or shirt or jeans on eBay. I'm going to do what I can to find that next subscription that I can cut to save a little bit more money every day. But not every day can we be our own personal heroes. Hopefully on most days we can dig deep and find the extra energy to move the ball forward. But some days you just got to give yourself a break. It's okay to give yourself a break and realize that you're exhausted and that tomorrow is a new day. And just wake up every day with that enthusiastic thought of, if I keep pushing a little bit every day towards my own goals, my own agenda of becoming self-employed, for example, or, making my side business turn into a full-time thing, or saving up enough money so that I never have to work again. If I just keep pushing every day towards that goal, one day, God willing, it will happen. And you got to remember that, because at first it's going to seem like you're taking these baby steps every day and you're not seeing anything happen. The needle's going to be like just not moving. I think on the last video I mentioned that I sold a pair of shoes on eBay. I had just like zero faith that I was going to be able to sell anything on eBay, because I put like 6 or 7 things up for sale, and for weeks, like nothing sold, like no views, no watchers, no nothing on my eBay items. And then one day, the first pair of shoes that I had up for sale sold. I think I made $10.83. What a win. Just remember, every little action you take every little day, pushing towards your own goals, at some point it will manifest into results that you care about, that matter to you. At some point it will manifest in some sort of a win. The idea is to let that win produce feedback back into you that motivates you to have another win. And those wins should start to compound after time, just like compound interest when you're investing in the stock market. You should start to see some compounding of your efforts and wins. The last thought that I'll leave you with for this particular video is a thought that a coworker of mine once said, and he was talking about his desk job, and I'm trying to get away from a desk job, as y'all know, at this point in time. But I think that this analogy can apply to any effort that you're putting forth in life. But he said, I look at my job like I'm a gardener. I'm tending to a garden, and every day I'm watering plants, I'm planting seeds, I'm making sure the plants get plenty of sunlight. And some days, all I do is work. All I do is work, and it feels like really hard, tiresome work. I'm tending to my garden. But man, oh man, when the first plant starts to grow out of the ground, when I see that first sprout, and I see that first plant start to shoot up, and then it becomes a mature plant, and it bears fruit, and I can eat that fruit, my work is paid off. And just remember, and I know that's probably a really cheesy analogy, but I thought it was kind of cool, because especially when you're talking about starting your own business, you're talking about shifting away from something you've done your entire adult life, like working at a desk job, a white collar job. When you're talking about making that massive of a shift, it's a big deal that you remember that most days you're just going to be the gardener tending to the garden. You're going to have a few seeds planted here, a few seeds planted there. You're going to be watering the seeds, and nothing's going to be happening yet. And I think that there will be days on end where nothing happens. You're just like, man, I can't see any results for what I'm doing. And remember, that's the first sign of an entrepreneur, or what's one of the big differences between being a wage slave and an entrepreneur, is that entrepreneurs have to keep in mind that they've got to put out effort every single day, but they don't get the payback necessarily every single day. So as a wage slave, you put out effort and you kind of get whatever results you get at work, as long as you're doing good enough to not get fired, and you get a paycheck every week or every 2 weeks. Well, that's great, but it doesn't necessarily work like that when you're an entrepreneur. I think the way it works is you're more like a gardener. You got to tend to that garden a little bit every day, even when you don't feel like it, even when you're not seeing anything blooming or growing yet. But then one day you'll see the payoff. You'll start to see the paycheck trickle in. It'll probably be lumpy pay at first, a little bit of pay at first, like my $10.83 for my first pair of shoes I sold on eBay. But man, oh man, what a great feeling when you start to see the results. Remember, that can be yours. It's yours for the taking. There's nobody else in this world that can take that away from you. And just remember that it's okay to feel some days like you're beaten down, to feel some days like you're overwhelmed, to feel some days like you were burned out and stressed out, and you just don't know how you can do that extra little bit of effort on top of your full-time white-collar wage slave job. But you can. Dig deep and keep doing it. The key is to keep doing it just a little bit every single day. Be the gardener. Be your own gardener for your own garden, and you will at some point start to see the fruits of your own labor. All right. thanks again. Hope everybody takes care of themselves. Keep pushing towards your goals. And I will talk to you on the next video. Peace out.